Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you all to the first session of the summit after the inaugural. We have a star-studded panel today, and this session, as you all know, is how winning brands pivot and outmaneuver crises, insights from the C-suite. So we have Ms. Lulu Raghavan, Managing Director of Lander and Fitch India, who will be moderating the session. Mr. Girish Agarwal, who's the Director at Dainik Bhaskar Group. Mr. Sadashiv Nayak, Chief Executive Officer of Future Retail. Mr. Jayant Khosla, Managing Director and Group Head, VLCC Healthcare Limited, and Mr. Kalpesh Parmar, Country General Manager, Mars Wrigley, India. Ms. Lulu Raghavan, if I can just introduce our panelists today. She's the Managing Director of Lander and Fitch India and leads a team of creatives and strategists focused on brand transformation. She has a considerably long experience of over 2 decades of managing brands in brand strategy expression and design. She's also part of Lander and Fitch's Global Management Board and the APAC leadership team. Without further ado, I hand it over to you, Ms. Raghavan.
Thank you so much, Jay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this panel where we'll be talking about brands, how they have emerged very successfully after the pandemic. And our esteemed panelists today will be sharing stories, lessons that they've learned, both at an organizational and at a personal level. I'm delighted to introduce the panelists to you today. Let's start with Girish Agarwal. Girish is Promoter Director of Dainik Bhaskar Group. He has over 29 years of experience in the publishing business. He's an active member of the Indian Newspaper Society and was awarded Entrepreneur for the Year in 2006 and more recently, Outstanding Entrepreneur in Asia Pacific Entrepreneur Awards. Interestingly, the launch story of Dainik Divya Marathi, was featured in the Harvard Business Review. So it'll be really interesting to hear about that when you share any story with us, Girish. Welcome to the panel. We have Mr. Sadashiv Nayak. So Sadashiv is CEO of Future Retail, part of the Future Group. Prior to this, he worked at Unilever and Asian Paints as well. He has decades of experience and we look forward to his brand stories. Welcome, Sadashiv. We have Mr. Jayant Khosla. Jayant has in-depth experience, hands-on experience across many, many markets and industries. He's analytical, he's a strategic thinker, but also has an impeccable ability to plan and meticulously execute long-term business goals. It'll be really interesting to hear his stories of how the organization has emerged post the pandemic. Prior to his current role as Managing Director and Group CEO of VLCC, he was CEO of Landmark Arabia based in Riyadh, and he is an engineer and MBA, as is Sadashiv. And finally, but no less, we have Kalpesh Parmar, who is the Country General Manager of Mars Wrigley in India. And he leads the Mars Wrigley business, which includes chocolates, confection, gums, and mints. He's a part of Mars Wrigley's Global Emerging Markets Leadership Team, 2 decades of experience in FMCG. And prior to joining Mars Wrigley, Kalpesh was associated with Unilever for over 12 years and designated CEO of South Korea. He is a huge fan of health and wellness, and I'm particularly interested in hearing, as I'm sure Jayant is, how health and wellness has completely changed post the pandemic. I want to keep the highlight on our speakers today, so I invite each of them to share stories of how their brands or them as individuals have navigated this crisis that the world has found itself in, and any lessons, stories that they'd like to share with us, and any key takeaways for the audience would be fantastic. So why don't we start with Girish? I welcome you to share any story about your group, a brand in your group, about yourself, and anything that you have learned in emerging from this crisis.
Thank you, Lulu, for the kind introduction and the opportunity. I'm pretty happy to be at this forum. So I think us as an organization, the biggest learning during this pandemic is to understand that we were actually doing everything what we used to do 15 years back. That when you started as kind of a startup in the business, you don't really look around and try to identify the obstacles, because everything was considered to be obstacles, correct? And as you keep growing, so you start categorizing that these are the obstacles, these are the opportunities, and all that and all that. While in pandemic, suddenly everything became an obstacle because you were not allowed to go out. Our reporters were trapped at home because they were not allowed to go out. There was no way they could report and all that and all that. So same thing was happening in our circulation and for the advertising in every front end newspaper. As you know, newspaper business is, we need to get the news to you, and that too every day in the morning itself. We can't be saying, okay, that we are delayed by 2 hours because of pandemic. So we had a brainstorming session, and over a period of time, we realized that why are we talking about obstacles now? When we started, say, for example, in Rajasthan in 96, 97, or in Gujarat in 2003, everything was an obstacle. The market was against you, the competition was against you, you were in unknown territory. That time you were not afraid. That time you were not counting anything else. So we had a brainstorming session. We said, listen, guys, I think over a period of time, there's too much of a gyan has come to us. Too much of our knowledge has become, other way actually, because you are now categorizing things. They said, chuck everything out, go back to the basics. What you were doing 20 years back, 15 years back, that's the way you need to do the work. When we were new in a market, our journalists won't say that, sir, they are not allowing me inside. Even they were not allowed that time. You want to get into a chief minister's office, they won't allow you in, but you manage your way through. Same thing happening there. The hospitals are saying, no, you can't come in. You need to manage your way in, whatever way you could do. In circulation, your competition would never allow you to deliver copies. They say, now assume this pandemic as your competition. Those people, those who are not letting you come into their society as a competition, and find out a way how you will do it. And I'm so proud to say that going back to basics has really helped us, and we are back to almost 90% of our business. I think that's a big learning.
Fantastic, fantastic, Girish. Thank you so much. So go back to the basics and channel the spirit that we had then in order to get through some of the obstacles and actually not even think of them as obstacles. Would you like to build on that, Sadashiv, or do you have something different to share?
No, I think I guess it's quite humbling to hear all of you speak about it. I guess the stories will somewhere have a similar theme, but possibly I'll give it a twist the way I saw it. I think, in fact, I was morning while doing my walk, I was just trying to see what a crisis means from the Oxford Dictionary. It says it's a difficult time and problems need to be solved and decisions need to be taken. And frankly, I think when I was just introspecting on that, I think often at times we tend to look at problems from our perspective. Now, as a group, we had a certain set of problems. We had certain industry, we had certain set of problems. And I was just comparing it to, let's say, how, I'm just giving an analogy which is out of the box, but let's say when a deity is got home for a religious function or into the community, I think normally the problems are seen as his deity is bigger, his idol is bigger than mine. There's more noise there, I need to create more noise, or there is more people there, I need to create some more buzz. And frankly, that's how we end up making things unsustainable, right? Now, for a minute, if you have to think, what will the deity be thinking? The deity will be thinking, Ko kya ho gaya? I mean, they are trying to create problems out of the blue, keeping me in mind. So we just changed the gaze when we looked at this so-called crisis. We changed the gaze to say, we feel it's a crisis, but let's see what has the customers gone through. And I think let's see from their gaze, what is the crisis? And really, I felt three things, and I'm possibly having a hangover of retail, but happy to share that. I think three things which we thought the customer's crisis was about trust. Is this a good place to shop? Was about experience and empowerment, saying, I had the power to go and shop on my own today. Do I have the power to make it happen? And third is really the whole thing around discovery. So how will I kind of end up discovering things which was there? And Big Bazaar always stood for discovery, right? So we went back and said, let's look at things which we could do to change this. And trust, we said, we did not know how to handle modern trade because the problem of Corona was same for everyone. So we decided to act a learner, and we actually co-opted a lot of our customers to come and tell us what should we be doing to make this place a safe and hygienic place. So we actually co-opted a lot of our customers to say, come and you help us. So some auntie would come and say, "Aap thoda yahan pe achhi tarah dho do, aap na ye isko aap gadi polish karte raho, the escalator ke slide ko." So many thoughts like that came. We introduced pick up at store, so people could order from the confines of their home and pick it up at store. So that's the second thing we did. And then, frankly, we looked at two separate segments. We actually looked at many more segments, but people with disabilities and senior citizens. We call them young elders internally. So young elders and people with disability, we actually created a separate helpline which was dedicated to them. It was like a hotline where they could connect to the store and we would get things delivered. So that was on the trust part. On empowering them, we realized that they would no longer be enjoying the weekend at Big Bazaar and enjoying the deals. So we said, let's create the whole experience on the app. So we are now online for the last 8 or 9 months. I would say a long way to go in terms of a shopping experience, but frankly, all the deals are there, all the promotions are there. But what was the clincher was we told the customers, it's your crisis, so I'm going to deliver things to you in 2 hours. So not only food, but today you can order a shirt and kurti and get delivered in 2 hours. If your pressure cooker is broken, I'll deliver it in 2 hours. If your television needs a change, I'll deliver it in 2 hours. And that's possibly because we're lighting up inventory at a store nearby to them. We started WhatsApp ordering because we realized that not everyone in India is comfortable ordering on an app. So we introduced WhatsApp ordering and call-in ordering because it's linked to every store. And lastly, we kind of made sure that we took our entire database of people and did a very personalized kind of a marketing for them. Lastly, on discovery, I think if you go to any Big Bazaar today, you'll see a kiosk where we are actually onboarding people to make their first online purchase. Surprise, surprise, if you go and speak to Big Bazaar customers, 80% of them have never gone on an online site and shopped. So we said it's our responsibility to kind of make them discover that. And there's a proper kiosk. You take a selfie after you place your first online order ever in your life. So that whole campaign is happening right now in our stores. We introduced video browsing. So fashion, you wanted to buy fashion, but you could not. So you would actually have a sales staff who would take you around the store on a virtual walk using a video platform. And you would actually do your buying basis of video browsing. And lastly, we realized that we should kind of make sure that fashion is as is. So many people wanted to kind of come and introduce and see fashion shopping in a very, very safe and hygienic manner. We actually changed the entire way processes are changed so that people are not deprived of their way of shopping for fashion, and yet they feel very, very secure. So trust, discovery, and empowerment. I think these are 3 blocks in which we worked on as a team. And the biggest thing was we inverted the gaze, saying the crisis at the customers end, not really our end. We had to kind of find a solution to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think changing the gaze is a wonderful encapsulation of the core thought that drove all of these wonderful examples that you shared with us. Thank you for sharing those. It makes it come that much more to life for the audience. Moving over to Kalpesh, very keen to understand both Sadashiv and Girish represent Indian companies in India. You represent an MNC. They had their own crisis, very different to ours. So how was it to represent Mars Wrigley in India? How were you thinking about the crisis? Was it a similar global response? Was it a different response? Would love to hear your stories.
Thanks, Lulu, and great to see Girish, Jayant, and Sadashiv here. Jayant is a colleague from Gillette, so Jayant, all my respect to you for being and guiding all of us in the past. So, Lulu, a bit about Mars as a group. Of course, we are a family-owned business, so very much like some of the names, we are also a family-owned business owned by the Mars family. It's one of the top 10 FMCG companies in the world. It's a $40 billion group. We have businesses in chocolate, gum and mints, pet food, and food businesses, and some of the brands, as you guys are aware, are Galaxy, Snickers, M&Ms, Pedigree, Whiskas, Royal Canin, and we have Tasty Bites, which is a foods company we've acquired in Pune. So our purpose is the world we want tomorrow starts with how we do business today. Yeah, and that's what came to life during pandemic, and I got assurance. I came in new January 2020. I joined the company, and March is when COVID started. So I got support from the headquarters that, hey, Kalpesh, while we know you want to deliver great results, but first please focus on taking care of our associates. That's our priority. Yeah. So and I was guided to put in disproportionate time, look after the associates and the families, yeah, and our partners across. So that was very enlightening, because as a privately held business, sometimes you get the liberty to do these things because you're not sometimes looking at the daily numbers or quarterly numbers, right? So what I felt is that what COVID guided us to do firstly is my learning is disrupt yourself before somebody else comes and disrupts you. Yeah. So and many things which many of us on this call could not disrupt within the organization. And I know Girish hinted a bit about that. I know Sadashiv and his team has done a lot of that. Is that how do we transform faster at a 5x speed? Pre-COVID, we were transforming our organization at a 1x, 2x speed. But COVID allowed us to do things, question things, and especially for a newcomer like me, I could collaborate a lot more easier because my associates wanted to disrupt themselves. Because otherwise, we won't have a business in India. Yeah, that's how difficult the wave one was. Yeah, we reduced the complexity across organization. Not only complexity within the organization, but complexity within our mindset also. Yeah, because we became more open to new initiatives. The corporation, I must acknowledge, headquarters became more open to various initiatives which we had never explored as an organization. I think the summary is that we became a more emerging market savvy organization than what we were pre-COVID. We listened to people like Sadashiv and gave them what they want rather than what we had in the global pantry. Because what we wanted a 10 rupee M&M pack. So, okay, we made it happen. We wanted a 10 rupee Snickers or a Galaxy, which was never available in India. We made it happen in the last few quarters. Coming to your question in terms of from a marketing perspective, what did we do? I think the first learning is that gone are the days of creating content once or twice a year. Content needs to be made daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, it is learnings from Korea or China is content has to be live. So have we got there? Not at all. But we realize that content cannot be made once in 3-4 years and then you keep talking about it. Yeah, because the Gen Z wants content every day. And that's what social media is offering us. Now, how do we capitalize on that? The other thing is brands like Boomer, which grew during the crisis, which grew during COVID wave 1. The category was growing single digit or sometimes negative, and we've had growth upwards of 20-30% during wave 1. And that continues in wave 2 also. We changed our spends a bit. We went very aggressive on digital. Yeah, that's another learning, and which gave us some benefits and penetration into new households. And if you look at some of our brands like Snickers, which is our lead brand in India within the confectionery space for us, we did a very good campaign appreciating the work from our frontliners. And if Jaisurya, you can flash the video quickly, that would be great so that the colleagues on the panel can go through the video.
Sure, we will play that.
आज रात 12 बजे से पूरे देश में संपूर्ण लॉकडाउन होने जा रहा है.
The times were tough, but as always, some heroes emerged to take care of us. They kept our hopes alive by keeping themselves in the forefront.
उनके लिए मंगल कामना करिए जो अपना कर्तव्य निभाने के लिए खुद को खतरे में डालकर काम कर रहे हैं.
Not only Snickers, but the entire nation wanted to express their gratitude to all these frontline warriors. Snickers decided to make the frontline warriors hear the cheer of the nation by creating a medium through a microsite where people can express their love and gratitude for these heroes. 24,083 people thanked the frontline warriors and nominated them for a free Snickers as a token of appreciation for their unconditional support. We chose some renowned and regional influencers who were actively speaking for these frontline warriors to amplify our message. And on Chocolate Day, Snickers reached out to 20,000 frontline warriors across New Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Kolkata to thank them for their unwavering efforts during these difficult times and handed them Snickers as a token of gratitude. The Chocolate Day activity gave the campaign a tremendous boost as it inspired more people to visit sendafreesnickersfromhome.com and send their love to the frontline heroes. The Thank You campaign enabled the nation to touch the hearts of 34,895 frontline warriors with warm wishes and Snickers bars. The campaign just didn't win hearts, it achieved great numbers too. 47 million people reached, 73.8% positive brand conversations created, 58% fan growth on Instagram. Thanks a ton, warriors.
Kalpesh, sorry, you're on mute. I'm not able to hear. Can others hear him?
No. Kalpesh, we couldn't hear you. Lulu, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you, Jayant. Kalpesh, I
Kalpesh.
think maybe you have to quit and come back somehow. Yeah. Okay. Let's not waste any time. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll bring you back in at the next question. Let's move on to Jayant. Jayant has been managing a global organization through the crisis. What learnings do you have to share with us, either at an organizational level or at a personal level, Jayant?
Thank you for the opportunity, Lulu. And it has been really nice to be learning from friends and veterans like Girish, Sadashiv, and Kalpesh. Net, I think what COVID has done to us is it has impacted all families, communities we work in, the brand or the organization we work in, and I think most importantly, our perspective towards life. What COVID did to me personally was left me much more humbled and much more grounded and hopefully much more simpler. But that was a quick summary on that side. On a business side, we perhaps, I am not sure how many of us know what all is VLCC business. I'll not make a corporate presentation, but other than the centers or clinics we run, which is what we are known for, we are also into FMCG and we also sell beauty and wellness products in the market. We also have training institutes, 94 of them in India, in which we train 10,000 students who come and work in the industry, in the beauty and wellness industry. So that way we are a comprehensive brand which deals in services, products, and people. So what COVID did to, and our business is contact based. You know, when somebody comes into our clinic, it's contact based. We use equipment, so it can't be home. And we have got classrooms where students come in and we train them, and we have our products to the market. And we have got customers like Sadashiv and industry operators like Kalpesh. What we did, so we treated this crisis as actually an opportunity to use both microscope and telescope at the same time to relook at all our revenue drivers, cost drivers, and the business proposition. The biggest thing we kept in mind was that our customer experience across businesses should not be affected or to be maintained through a series of efforts which we did. So for example, each of our center head took charge of the 500 customers they have serviced in the last 12 months and engaged with them through webinars, Zoom calls, sessions, training on DIYs, sending products at home, and we kept a deep engagement with our customer. In our products business, e-commerce, we focused on, and our e-commerce business, which was 26 crore last year before last year was 76 crores. And this year it is tracking at 230 crore. So we ensured that we work with all the operators, whether it is Amazon, Flipkart. So rather than trying to sell only through our website, we said, let's get into partnership and alliances, but let's ensure the customer experience is maintained. Similarly, in our training business, student training, we ensured that all the theory part, we have digitized it now. Now, theory is 25% of the curriculum, and it is all digitized. So we actually used it as an opportunity to relook at our business model, ensure customer experience is protected, and we actually resulted in our repeat customers increasing from 51% to 61%, our ticket size increasing, our manpower productivity increasing because we did crash the entire back office focusing on teeth to tail, multi-skilling, training, and we made all our marketing investments into digital. So 99% of our marketing expenditure is performance-based marketing, digital, and we went ahead and associated with brand. For example, we did a virtual VLCC Miss Femina India contest. So net, what I'm saying is we ensured that we are there for the customer in whatever best possible manner we can. We ensured that we, in the backside, we channelize our costs in sync with our revenue. And I'm very heartening, I can share it in this group. Our revenues came back from 30% quarter by quarter, 30%, 55%, 75% to 115%. So we finished quarter 4 at 15% higher than the previous year. And I think the key was because our employees, our 3,000 employees, through their passion, through their ingenuity, they came together. You see, in a pandemic, like all of us, our cultures and values were tested. And I think what emerged is something which is much more future ready, much more agile, much more nimble. So it's an experience. It was baptism by fire, but I think it really made the brand much more relevant. We ensured we launched products and services which were required for this period. For example, we were the first company which launched sanitizers. Now we are not into sanitizer business, but we have a factory, we have got our R&D department, we have relationship with the vendors and partners. So we were able to get the raw material packing component like a Jiffy, strong project management skills, strong R&D skills, launched sanitizers. We launched immunity boosting services in our centers. We launched services for proactive and preventive healthcare. We launched services for pro-COVID, post-COVID recovery. So we remained relevant, we remained for the customer, and we did it in a sustainable, cost-effective manner. So as a result of which, while our revenues came down, but our profitability increased. And that, I think, is, we re-energized the brand. And from being a beauty and weight management brand, now I think it is graduating onto being a wellness and a weight management brand, for which I wouldn't say the movement has happened that it is from discretionary to essential, but it has certainly progressed in that chain. So I hope we remain humble, we remain together, and we don't abuse Mother Earth as much as all of us are perhaps guilty of doing in the past. That's where we are.
Super, super. Thank you so much. That's very eloquently stated. We have 20 more minutes. I would like to ask one more question of each of you before we turn it over to the audience for questions. For marketers today and entrepreneurs, we know there are lots who are starting out businesses today. What would you say is the formula for creating a winning brand? What it might have been before versus what we've learned from the crisis today to build a successful brand? What does it take in your view? Anyone would like to go first? What does it mean to build, nurture, run a winning brand today?
Well, let me give it a go. I don't know what it means, what it takes to have a winning brand. What I can just say is ensure that there is a genuine, honest proposition which one is executing and delivering for a consistent customer experience. And if that niche has been identified, if the delivery is honest and consistent, I think that is what will ensure the brand is relevant and growing. We must keep into account the millennials, the people born after 2000, and therefore omni-channel approach for a consistent brand experience is critical also in today's day and age. Last but not the least, I think the brand always has to be on its toes. It always must remain something which is constantly listening, adapting, changing, and progressing. So to me, it's like a marathon. There is no end state. It's a journey. And it's like cycling. The moment you stop, you might fall. So be there, deliver value, and stay humble.
I would just like to add on to what Jan just said. The perspective should be from the consumer side. Because when you become big, you started putting your perspective into the consumer's mind. You think that you know more than the consumer. So as Jan mentioned, stay humble. So I would say keep the consumer perspective up front rather than putting your yarn into it.
Nice. Thank you,
So
Girish.
maybe I'll share maybe I'll share an anecdotal example. I was in Patna last week in one of our stores, and I shared it with my team. So happy to share it here. And I went and asked a young girl who was selling fashion on the floor of Big Bazaar. And I was actually asking her about has she checked out our latest collection on Instagram. She did not know Instagram. And then asked her, what does she do? She said, I've come here, I've joined 2 years now. My mother sells fruits and vegetables, and my father doesn't work. And I've got two children. I've got one brother and one sister who are studying. So clearly it was established that what happens to Big Bazaar, and for us, of course, it is about numbers and annual reports, etc. But if something goes wrong with Big Bazaar, I think that girl there will be back to selling vegetables with her mother, which is not a bad profession, but she will not be able to run the household. And to me, I think there were two thoughts which crossed my mind. One, I think the whole responsibility which falls on people like us, I think all of us here to really run a brand, I think there's much larger responsibility. And second, I think she was also a future customer. Today, she's possibly not able to afford Big Bazaar, but I'm sure someday she will be able to afford coming into Big Bazaar, shopping for fashion, shopping for all the requirements in food. So frankly, it is about the brand paving a way for the next generation of customers, possibly who are not able to fully afford us today, but maybe will surely be able to afford it if we make some harder efforts towards it.
Thank you, Sadashiv. Kalpesh, quickly from your perspective, yes, before we open it up to questions.
Now? Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. So firstly, marketeers need to become entrepreneurs. Yeah, and the curiosity of marketeers has to increase. Now, all of us across any role you do in the organization is at the service of consumer. So we have to stop looking at our brand managers and marketing managers as our colleagues managing the marketing function. They're actually custodians of the consumer. So I work for my Snickers brand manager. He doesn't work for me. Yeah, the factories are in the service of my marketing director, and they serve the marketing director, who's the consumer custodian, and whatever he or she needs. Yeah, so all the functions need to serve the consumer. Yeah, and that can only happen not by sitting in boardrooms showing each other PowerPoints, but it has to be in the marketplace. Yeah, so that's one. The other thing is, to your question, listen carefully and entertain mindfully. Yeah, so what do you mean by that? Find your target audience. Yeah, then serve the right content, connect with them, and drive intelligent marketing KPIs. Yeah, so that's the summary to your question, Lulu.
Fantastic. I think a lot of wonderful insights here, from ensuring that you have genuine, honest proposition that you're excited and passionate about, can deliver in a consistent manner across the customer journey, which should be omni-channel, always on your toes, staying humble, really looking at things from the consumer side. The perspective is always from your customer or consumer side. Love this notion of marketers becoming entrepreneurs. And Sadashiv, thank you also for sharing the story of different types of customers that are out there and how you need to be grooming those customers as well. And really about listening carefully and driving everything to customer at the core. So some really, really key lessons here. I'm going to ask you a few questions that the audience have asked of us. So the first one, as governments moved quickly, flattened the curve, it appeared that it was the growth curve that flattened. As the industry slowly attempts to begin firing on all cylinders, what are your brands doing to address consumer trust? And how important is it in your business decision? I think some of you already answered this, but Girish, would you like to go? How important is trust in your business decision?
My business of newspaper this is all about trust, you know. And I think the basic thing what we've been doing, and more so now, is to ensure that nothing holds us back, you know. And especially this is the time, and I'm very grateful to all my journalists, especially through this platform. I want to appreciate them, recognize them, because in the peak of COVID, when all of us were trying to sit at home, work from home, those journalists were actually out in the field. You know, they were in the crematoriums, they were in the graveyard, they were in the hospital, finding out what the truth is. They were at the Ganga River bank to count the bodies, how many dead bodies been left at the Ganga River to avoid the whole issue and all that. So those guys were actually, you know, putting their life on the line. Just imagine, it's very easy to say somebody went out and did the reporting, but think about it. You were not even allowing yourself to go out, and it's the reporter who has his whole family, and the family is saying, okay, we are okay to go for you to go out, but not to go out just to the office, to the hospital, to the COVID ward, to the counting the dead bodies. So I think what they did was amazing, and that's what the trust is all about. And that's what, for any brand, you know, whether you are selling chocolates or Big Bazaar or anything, that's what a consumer wants. That please stay truthful to me. You know, if you have promised X thing to me, I must get that in the true sense.
Thank you, Girish.
I
Would you like to
second,
answer that as well?
I second exactly what Girish has said. I think words like trust, honesty, humble, they're all from the same, let's say, bucket or chapter. And VLCC as a brand, I think, has benefited of that. I don't know, again, getting back into the history, we started off by being a service provider, wherein we had clinics. Customer came in, customer experienced those services, and that helped us to graduate on to become a products company, because the products which we used to use, we started bottling them and selling it to the customer. So there are very few examples of a company which has graduated from a services company to becoming a services and product company to becoming a training company for giving the manpower to the industry. And that is how the cycle has happened. And I think one thing, if I have to put my finger on, it's because of the trust and the customer experience. And what is important is, at times of crisis, how are you doing on that? Because in a normal going, everything is hunky-dory. When the times are being tested, for example, COVID or any other eventuality, then how does the trust come in? And that is why what I referred to earlier, customer experience, consistency, all these are very, very relevant.
Thank you, Jayant. We have a super interesting question for all of you in the C-suite. And the question is this: in your understanding, is there considerable C-suite buy-in for distributed innovation across the company, or are business leaders still risk averse? Who'd like to respond to that? I can see Kalpesh.
Okay, so firstly, India is not one country, as you guys know better than me. Yeah, it's at least 6 to 8 different segments you can slice India into. Now, to win across these 7, 8 different consumer segments, you need a lot of test and learn. Yeah, and there will be a lot of test and learn in smaller geographies, smaller channels. Yeah, and a lot of it will fail. Yeah, and we are in fact celebrating internally. One of the awards is Courage to Fail. Yeah, and we just applauded one of the team members yesterday that they failed last year, and we celebrated that failure. Yeah, and leaders, C-suite has to give the team that safety net to fail. Yeah, and give them that confidence, stand along with them when things go wrong, and give them that confidence and empower them to fail more. I always say, please keep making mistakes. The only thing is, don't repeat the same mistake again. Make new mistakes every day. Yeah, and be curious. The solution is there with our third-party manufacturers, with our customers. If we ask them for a solution, if today I have a problem, if I ask one of the buyers of Big Bazaar, she must have experienced this in the last 10 years. So in my organization, I may not have the answer, but the consumer or the customer already has that answer. Just that we need to be more vulnerable and talk more to the outside world, and then the solution will be there.
Thank you, Kalpesh. Girish, Jan, Sadashiv, a different perspective on distributed innovation.
I'll just add to what Girish said. I think very valid point. I think being a daily operator, which is in retail, it's like every day, every hour matters. I think there's innovation happening everywhere. Innovation is an English word, so obviously at times we expect something large to happen. But when I go back and see the way the customers have adapted to various things, including making, let's say, pizza at home, I think there is innovation at every step. The relevant point which Kalpesh made, I just want to underline and underscore that is really the C-suite, if you may say, and maybe the key leaders. The idea is to really say, am I going to pick up essence from each of these and put it elsewhere? Like we are, let's say, a chain like Big Bazaar would be there in 165 cities. If something has happened in Agartala, how can it really travel to Trivandrum? Because it will be relevant. The same situation will be relevant there. And at times we end up ignoring it because we feel India is different and many Indias, and then maybe it's slightly contrasting to what Kalpesh said. But I feel the customer at some point of time would be expecting a similar delivery, a similar convenience. My responsibility, the people of all who are a little away from the moment of truth, is to really pick up the essence and distribute it. So to my mind, the art of innovation is really what happens is a brilliant thing. But how do you pick up the essence and really make it a recipe which is widely distributed and really democratized? I think that's really the role of the C-suite here.
Nicely stated. Another interesting question here. Several companies in India are into commoditized product lines, as you are aware, stressing on functions and features. What, in your view, can enable mass market product manufacturers to truly create a community of believers and successfully differentiate? Differentiation for commoditized products.
So maybe I'll go in first, and I'm going to get an example from the marketplace. I think if you notice, and it's a Mumbai example, people who sell watermelons. I mean, there is one watermelon seller selling 3 watermelons, and there's a whole street of watermelon selling with many watermelon sellers, right? And you would end up saying that street is commoditized. But frankly, if I have to ask you, where do people go most? I think they'll go to the street, because that abundance which is there will give them signal of freshness, abundance. Maybe it's cheaper. Maybe there are many more buyers. I'll have a choice, etc., etc. So we operate in quite a few commoditized segments. Like if you see the shirt I'm wearing, it's a white shirt. At one level, it's a commodity. It's one of our own labels which I'm wearing. But frankly, it's the idea of really saying, as a customer, I have to make him feel like a king and queen when she picks up that commodity. Whether it's a watermelon or it's a white shirt, it doesn't matter. So to my mind, I think the distinction really comes in everything which is around that product. The product could be whatever. And the cliched statement to say when everything is same, price matters a lot. I think many formats and many channels get stuck there. If we believe that no, even that humble watermelon or this plain white shirt can mean a lot. A simple label can mean a lot, a simple tag can mean a lot, and I have to make the person buying it in wherever, Bharuch, make him feel like a king when he's buying this white shirt. So I think I would really give it a bet on saying, believe in what you're giving, it should be good, and then go and communicate that so that the person who walks out with that watermelon white shirt feels like a king or a queen.
I'll expand on what Sadashiv just mentioned, and I agree with the premise of what he has laid down, Sadashiv. I think brands are mass or otherwise are built on plus ones. So in my mind, I think what will distinguish in a mass market kind of a thing is service which comes along, whether it is service to retail or service to customer, and the consistency. I think that is what determines as well. I used to give this example of a newspaper, Girish, with due apology, saying, do you want the best brand of newspaper? And I'm not talking about the digital world. This example was 20 years back. Would you want the best brand of newspaper to come to you anywhere between 6 a.m. to 8 a.m.? Or you would want even the second rung to come to you sharp at 6 a.m. when you want it? And the answer was very clear. I want the latter, because to me, service and consistency is more important rather than something waiting for something better, which I don't know whether I'll get it what time in the morning. So in my I use another analogy. We all talk about brand equity. For example, in FMCG kind of business or a brand, to me, trade equity is very important as well. And trade equity can have a multiplier impact on the brand equity for the market share. So if you sizzle up brand equity with trade equity, the impact on what the customer will reward you for will be exponential high. And trade equity is very simply put, does the trade, whether it is distributor, modern trade, e-commerce, how do you service them? Is there transparency? Is there accuracy? Is there trust? Is there proactiveness? You do that, the intention to recommend the brand goes up. There is intention to buy, but there is intention to recommend. And that is where you can make a difference and establish a +1. So don't go and fight on the known thing. Open up another battlefield, which is your core, and win and go and fight and win that.
Nice. Thank you. I think we'll take one last question. In your view, should post-COVID innovation in companies be linked entirely to ROI-based outcomes, or should they include broader social objectives as well? What do you link innovation to?
I'll give
ROI?
I'll give you an unpopular answer. And the popular way is, yeah, it should be linked to the societal objectives and not to ROI. That's what nice to hear. But I think on a fundamental basis, everything must make commercial sense as well. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. And there are ways of doing it. It's not this or that. There is innovation is in this and that. This whilst doing this. So I don't think it is a question of or, it's a question of and. Over to you, Girish.
In my opinion, if you are able to create an innovation which can create a great ROI for your company, it's a bit of a service to the nation also, because the ROI for your company translate for the ROI and the betterment of your customers, your stakeholders, society at large. So please don't try to differentiate these two things, because if you start working for charity, after a while, then you start looking at somebody to fund you from CSR. For that CSR fund also, they need to make money. So I think this is a very irrelevant question somebody asked. It's a totally, confused mind actually.
Okay.
Thanks, Girish. I think, Lulu, I'll give an example. We had an innovation to say we'll create a shopping day for people with autism. And we said we'll make the Big Bazaar ready for 14 disabilities. Yeah? People with 14 disabilities can shop with us. Now, frankly, on paper, many of my people interpreted CSR. But frankly, 7% of India is disabled. And there are no shopping opportunities for many of these. So frankly, between the two responses, I think I'll fall somewhere in between to say that if there is something which is there, which people as marketers see as an opportunity, I don't think you need to put a cap of saying ROI or CSR. There will be an ROI. So today we go back and push hard at teams to say, make the trial rooms ready for wheelchairs, make your staff be able to speak sign language, because there is 7% potential in India. And I think all the goodwill, etc., you get is secondary, but there is market. And I think we just need to do our job of being a retailer and serving customers.
Absolutely.
Very, very nicely said. I'd love for you all to have the last word. So any key lesson, any key advice that you're giving to the audience on winning brands? Just one thing. As they say, we've talked about a lot of things today, but I'd like to put you on the spot and say, what's the one thing? Yes, go for it, Kalpesh.
So businesses who have to be successful need to, so generally we end up spending 20-30% time in the marketplace, or maybe lesser. I would urge all of us to spend maybe 50% time in the marketplace and 50% time in office, and then those businesses will never fail. In my previous organization, we had checked this from a fact-based data also, that units where more people across functions were going to market were more successful than units which were sending less people to market, irrespective of function. Thank you.
Super insightful. Thank you. Girish?
I would say
One thing.
Stay focused, do what you're doing, put your head down and stop thinking too much. Whatever you have decided, stay focused on that and execute. That's it.
Brilliant. So stay focused and focus on execution. Put your head down and focus on execution. Wonderful. Kalpesh, one thing.
I think I already spoke, right?
Sorry, I meant Sadashiv. Sorry,
Yeah,
yours
I
was the
think,
50%.
So I would say be the custodian for the customer yourself. I mean, if I were to give an anecdotal example, people said that people are not buying formal shirts. Oh, we have a problem in formal shirts. And frankly, when I go back and see my own friends and families with work from home, they were not buying formal shirts. So there's that inherent knowledge which is there. Why try and force? Because some past pattern was there. I'm giving a simple example. So be the custodian yourself. You're a customer yourself. You know what you like, what you don't like, what's the friction. I think use that filter. I think it can be very, very intuitive and very, very easy.
Awesome. And Jayant, you have the last word.
All right, so I'll give two things, Lulu, with your permission. The first thing is listen to whatever Kalpesh, Girish, and Sadashiv has said. Lots of golden words. Second, I would say your employees are your first customers, and especially the customer facing employees. So stay in touch with them, give them a respect and regard, and they will give you the real insights, much more than you can get from any research which you undertake.
Wonderful. So just to recap, employees are your first customers. Be the custodian of the customer yourself. Stay focused, put your head down on execution. And 50% of your time in the market. Studies have shown that more people going into the market really have a much better impact on the organization. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you all for sharing all of your wisdom. We hope the audience enjoyed it as well. All the best and look forward to staying in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, CII and Lulu, for the great platform.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jasuria. Thank you.
Bye.
In a world where we can do almost everything with a click, there's no reason to wait for hours to sign or approve a document. Whether you're at the office, on the go, or even need to meet an urgent deadline, mSigner can simply help you get your signatures and approvals out of the way quickly and easily. Just upload a document, drag and drop your placeholders, define the people who need to sign, and you're done. mSigner plans come with unlimited documents, so you'll never have to worry about using up your credit. All documents will be stored securely in the doc store, so you can access them anytime, anywhere. Just click on co-branding under the Admin tab to make the entire platform reflect your preferred brand colors and logos. mSigner even gives you the flexibility to set reminders on your signed contracts, build and collaborate on contracts, and create easy forms for your customers to fill and sign. With mSigner, you can do more than just sign documents. You can simplify your life, streamline your operation, and put a smile on your customer's face. mSigner. Sign anywhere, anytime.
National Payments Corporation of India is an umbrella organization for all retail payments in India, with the mission to touch every Indian with one or the other payment services. NPCI has ushered in a sea of change in the payments landscape in the country. Since inception, NPCI has achieved several milestones of innovation through product developments. National Financial Switch, enabling cardholders to transact at ATMs across the nation. Immediate payment service, enabling real-time round-the-clock fund transfers. Check truncation system, enabling faster clearance of checks through electronic truncation via image transfers. RuPay, the card scheme which offers a domestic, open-loop, multilateral system which allows banking and financial institutions to participate in electronic payments. National Automated Clearing House, enabling banks, financial institutions, corporate and government to facilitate interbank, high-volume electronic transactions which are repetitive and periodic in nature. Aadhaar Payment Bridge System, helping the government and government agencies in making the direct benefit transfer scheme a success. RuPay Ecom, to provide e-commerce transaction capabilities to domestic customers. Aadhaar-enabled payment system, enabling extended banking services through Aadhaar via micro ATMs. RuPay Platinum, an upgrade for debit customers offering several benefits including cashbacks and insurance. Star 99 Hash, a USSD-based mobile banking service for all mobile phones. RuPay International, enabled usage of the domestic scheme internationally at all Discover and Diners point of sale and ATM networks. Unified Payments Interface, a one-stop solution for interoperable digital payment needs. Bharat Interface for Money, a UPI-based mobile banking app for every Indian. National Electronic Toll Collection, enabling customers to pay tolls electronically without stopping at toll plazas. Launched RuPay with EMV. NFS, interoperable cash deposit services for banks, enabling their customers ease in depositing cash. RuPay Credit was built on the existing RuPay platform and it enabled banks to provide value-added services in a cost-effective manner. The RuPay Contactless is built to digitize low-volume payments and offer one card for all payments, including travel by different metros and buses, toll, parking and smart cities, besides retail shopping and purchases. Bharat Bill Pay, enabling one-stop bill payments of all categories on digital and physical enabled channels. Bheem Aadhaar, enabling merchant payments through Aadhaar. Bharat QR, created by 4 payment networks to drive interoperability among QR-based payment products of different networks. UPI 2.0 enabled newer features to enhance customer and merchant experience with overdraft facility, one-time mandate, invoice in the inbox and signed intent and QR. RuPay launched the RuPay Contactless Debit Card under NCMC program at Delhi Metro, enabling customers to use the RuPay Contactless Card for transit payments and for retail purchases as well. Upgraded Bheem 2.0 include a donation gateway, increased transaction limits, linking multiple bank accounts, offers from merchants applying in IPO and gifting money. Pi, AI virtual assistant available round the clock, helping customers with accurate information in English and Hindi via text or voice on the website of NPCI, RuPay and UPI Chalega. And Rewards, in the largest multi-brand loyalty platform to engage and retain bank customers by easy earning and instant redemption of reward points on maximum purchasing options. NPCI International is building acceptance network for RuPay and UPI abroad. This will help Indian travelers pay with these payment channels in the country of travel. NPCI has built one-of-a-kind, world-class payment ecosystem that is affordable and accessible for every customer segment and every payment need. We believe in building products for every Indian. NPCI has its products designed for each segment. NPCI recently registered in Limca Book of Records for conducting the 120 e-payment literacy camps on the World Literacy Day. NPCI's RuPay won the Scotch Award for Financial Inclusion. NPCI won the Policy Change Agent of the Year Award by Economic Times. NPCI's UPI won the Golden Peacock Innovative Product Awards for Business Excellence and Innovation. And NPCI's Bheem UPI and RuPay won the AFAC's Busiest Brands Award under the banking category. NPCI is paving the way towards a less cash society by providing secure, instant, convenient and affordable payment solutions for all Indians.
वो पैसा ही क्या पैसा जो सिर्फ पैसा बन के रह जाए, जिसकी कीमत सिर्फ नंबरों में मानी जाए। बढ़ता रहे पर बड़े होने का एहसास ना दे पाए। सिर्फ जेबों में कैद किसी को आजाद न कर पाए। वो पैसा ही क्या पैसा जो रात भर जगा के भी सपने ना सच कर पाए। जो ऐसे ना नचाए और ना ही किसी का घर बनाए।